So,
Have you ever, I'm a Sufi, so I've had a lot of mystical experiences, and then I heard Adyashanti, and he wiped that all out for me. Probably 10 years ago, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'm not attached to them now, but do you ever have glimpses, before you got into this enlightenment state, or whatever you call it, that holds all the states, did you ever have glimpses of that, or are the glimpses always the mystical state?
You never have a glimpse in the enlightened, and I don't like to say enlightened state, because a state by definition has a beginning and an end.
Yeah. So you never get a peek into.
No.
It's like it's lower and encompasses instead
Yes.
of being up there.
No, it truly is like where you reach a ceiling with the mystical state, and then after that, it's the whole game changes. It's a little different.
What do you mean after that? After?
When the sense of personal doership falls away,
Yeah.
then it's a whole different ball game, whole different game.
But I listened to your half-hour talk online,
Mhm.
and you talked about the three witness kind of states.
Okay.
And that has been my experience, that the mystical state is more dissociated. It's up and out. Whereas what the Advaita, with Muji and Eli and the people I've been working with, it's more of a dropping down and an acceptance of everything comes in to it. Everything's part of it, instead
Mhm.
of going out and blissing out.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be even more so.
Well-
But it feels like non-doership when you're out of the body also. You're
Yes.
watching it.
Yes. Well, what happens is, okay, there's a couple things there. The first thing that I'd point to is that the mystical experience, there's infinite amount of mystical experiences. And you can have a mystical experience with a flower and be enraptured with it and write poetry. You can have experience that I had, that when my son was born, he was about 6 weeks old or something, and I was sitting outside in our back porch, and a beautiful night, blue sky with the orange and no whole deal, breeze blowing, and I was just sitting there, and I was in that mystical state, just being, and there was beauty. And my wife brings out my son and puts him in my lap, and I look at him and I see this new life form, and I view it as this energy of this new life form that's been born, and I'm just holding him in that rapture. And I look up at the sky, and there's gratitude, and then it's as if the sky opened up, and there was a perception and understanding that the universe could squash this little baby at any time. So there's this creation, experience of this creation of this little life, beautiful life force, the maintaining of it, and gratitude, and then the destructive quality of the universe that could just take it out at any time. So in that one experience, you experience the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the universe. And within those three, you can have variations of that. So I don't try to formulate or ground any type of mystical experience. It can be infinite.
But always temporary. Is that the difference?
Well, it can last for 6 minutes, 6 months.
I was in a state like that for about 4 months.
Yeah.
Which I considered no doership. I mean, I didn't sense ego at all. And I didn't even know I was in that state until I came out of it.
Exactly. That's the point. That's the second point I was going to say. Is that what actually happens is in the mystical state, yes, the ego is not there.
Mm-hmm.
and then that sense of personal doership is not there, and then it comes back, and it claims that, oh, I had that experience, but it was because the absence of the ego that that experience happened. It was in spite of it that it happened. So when you come,
that's a mystical experience.
that's the mystical experience.
So tell a little more about how that's different. I haven't heard this before, what you're talking about. And I know a lot of enlightened beings who wouldn't describe it that way. In 40 years of the Bay Area, I've met a lot.
You'll get that in the Bay Area. Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody's emphasized pain. You know, they've said that they experience pain. You know, like sadness and all of that too, but not to the same degree that they did before. So I've just never heard it as it's the same kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
He's not saying it's the same kind of pain. You're actually saying that
it's worse.
More
Yeah,
intense because there's no veil. There's nothing
exactly
separating you from it.
Yeah.
You know, you're not leaving, splitting from it.
Right. Or doing anything to change it.
Yeah.
But it passes really quickly
No.
because it's fully experienced, right?
No, just because it's fully experienced doesn't shorten the time. That unfortunately. Yeah.
But it doesn't lengthen it because of the attachment or the secondary involvement.
It doesn't turn the pain into suffering.
But it still can be a long.
It can be pain for is the destiny of that body-mind mechanism.
Whether that's physical pain or psychological pain from the loss of somebody.
Yes.
So I'd like to ask you kind of a personal question then around the sage and experience of the sage can't experience oneness, does not experience oneness. That's something that's in the realm of the spiritual seeker. Now I have no idea if you probably don't even remember this, but I'm just gonna, this is an experience. The first time that you talked 2 summers ago in Ibiza, right? The first time you got up and you spoke, I was sitting, and actually I was sitting right next to Sharon, and you were just kind of gazing, looking around, you know, slowly looking at different people. And so I had a very, very powerful experience of oneness just disappearing. And afterwards, I know Sharon looked at me and she said, I've never had an experience like that before, or something to that effect.
That's very powerful.
Now, at that time, one thing I remember quite clearly was that you looked over, I don't know if you were looking at me or looking at her, and I don't even know if you would remember this, but you did right directly at us. And I kind of thought, were you aware of something? Or was it just a spontaneous, was there an experience that was reflected inside of you? Was there a certain knowingness, or, I mean, normally I would have just thought, well, maybe he was connecting with that oneness, but that's not the case. So you may not even remember this, probably don't.
I don't remember it, but I wouldn't say that it did not happen, because things happen spontaneously during the talks and during the teaching. So, yeah. I'm not going to say I didn't do that. You know, so,
but if you, I guess what I was saying is, but that was not an expression of seeing this powerful openness or something like that.
It could have been. It could have been. It just I don't remember it. Yeah.
So you can be aware of that in somebody else.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So
you can see the
I guess
recognition
that's really what I'm asking is, so what is that awareness? What is it that you are experiencing?
It's a recognition of that, of the disciple being in that oneness state. You can recognize it. You can acknowledge it. You can perceive it.
I see.